Hello guys, welcome to the Trading Parrot. We all know what happened on Friday and what it did to the altcoin market in particular. We're talking about the people trading on futures with leverage that got completely wrecked. But at the moment, if you go to crypto Twitter, everybody's anticipating that after the leverage cleanup that we just experienced, that we are expecting a huge, massive recovery straight into altcoin season. So in today's video, I'm gonna try to cut all that crap out of the way so you can see. It's getting blurry when everybody starts talking so much nonsense. And in this video, we're gonna look at all the charts and see if it really that is the case or if we are expecting a little bit more pain. Guys, if you want to trade any altcoin or Bitcoin, consider opening a new account on Bluffin. On Bluffin, they're giving away an iPhone 17 depending on the amount that you trade and the size of your deposit. This is a non-KYC exchange and is currently one of the exchanges that I'm using to trade Bitcoin. This is the way it's looking the market. Today is Tuesday and pretty much everything is still in the red. There was a bit of a relief when Bitcoin moved up into what could end up turning into just a dead cat bounce, and that's why we are seeing so much overreaction from the altcoins. We have Mix at 16.7, Tau 5.4, ripping off, while the rest of the altcoins are at single or double digits in the red. We talk about the breakdown of the altcoin season index on Friday, and we did that prior to the impact of the biggest event of leverage flash in the whole history of Bitcoin. So I think this move down in here when we went into 55 was calling for a little bit more than just a retest of support. When we went into 59, I was okay. When we went into 55, I said, this is just calling so much for a breakdown, and that's what we did. We went into 43. It doesn't look like a big thing, particularly if you look from the distance. But when we get into the other chats that are capturing the intra-candle moves that we had on Friday on the weekly and daily, that is just never seen before. We usually get those things affecting a single coin at the time where there is a scam, a rug pull, an exchange closes and the CEO runs away with all the cash and stuff like that, but not affecting all the coins at the same time, and in many exchanges going to zero and other exchanges just going way higher. There is a lot going on. You can also see, if you watch my YouTube video that I published this morning, Bitcoin is calling for a lot of attention on socials, whereas altcoins are just there dead. And then you start getting the usual losers like TechDev saying that we are about to see something unprecedented on the 31st of May, on the 13th of August, just to again trap more and more people. Shanaka has made a very decent summary in here of what happened. I hope, guys, that you were not part of this. I hope, guys, that you were not that over leveraged. I remind you, I still hold some altcoins. People ask me, how many altcoins are you still holding and in what shape? And I told you, I built big bags during the bear market. I got rid of many of them publicly and I still hold some of them, but this kind of events are not yet affecting me because I have coins in the blockchain, not in an exchange, in spot, and I'm patiently looking for exit. That's with the exception of Chainlink, which I currently have in Bluffing when I was looking for an exit, which I couldn't find yet. If you don't understand yet how catastrophic was Friday, let's have a look in here. Atom went from $4 to 0.01. So pretty much everybody that was holding leverage, and I'm not talking about degen leverage, any leverage is completely annihilated. Sui went from 3.4 to 0.56. That's crazy. 5 to 0.75. So basically they destroyed every trader that was in a long without risk management if they had anything more than 1x. And we're talking not just about crappy, these are not necessarily low cap, these are supposedly institutional grade top 100 coins. We do TA of all of this, right? And we occasionally cover liquidation levels. Like for example, on Friday, I made a video about Solana and I talk about how low we can go if there was an event big. And we identify levels that were hit precisely by the dollar. But I'm not claiming I knew it was going to happen. It's just a matter of discipline for me to always analyze where is the risk. And the risk was there. It might have been small at that point during the day, but something was telling me with the breakdown on the Altcoin season index and with so many longs on Solana that it was going to get hit. But definitely it went way beyond what I was expecting. You can see here we're talking about daily RSI, and you can see from where the coins started. They were trading at RSIs over 90 and they ended up closing the day below 20 in the same day. That's just ridiculous. These sort of things you can see that on the 15-minute chart, on the 1-minute time frame, but on the daily, it's a one-time only lifetime. This is an interesting article, an interesting chart from Cryptolica. It's a little bit like Metallica. Altcoins versus gold chart 2017 to 2025. In this area in here, the ratio is holding two bottoms. One of them is prior to 2019 and the second one is during COVID. And all of this produces a double bottom that takes you into a new high. This chart is suggesting that we are in a similar situation where we have these two tops right here and that we are building potentially these two double bottom. This is the Binance crash, they call it like that in this area. I wonder if there's going to be any investigation, and I wonder if that could affect Binance. Remember, we already lost FTX in the previous cycle. Maybe too early to say, but if there were some investigation and they found something really exposed at daylight, they might decide to go and close down Binance, although no one knows where they operate on or in which country, by the way. I personally don't like patterns that are overlapping with the previous one but are completely different timing, because for example this is in the beginning of a cycle. We are talking about 2020 where we are about to have the halving event. Bitcoin rips off from the very lows. If you try to match this pattern, even if it's matching with the ratios at the timing in here where we are in a topping year, trading way higher than the lows of 15K, we are over 100K, so trying to call for this to start doing something that is supposed to be doing at the early stages of the market. I will say the double bottom was this. This one in here is looking already like a collapse. Gordon says, I can't believe whales are running the 2020 playbook again. And you can see so many people are claiming that we are about to repeat something that we are supposed to do in early stages of the market. Watch out. Because although this could happen, I'm not saying it's impossible, but you are trading on something that has the least risk-reward ratio that you can ever find. The likelihood of this playing out, in my opinion, is less than 1%. So watch out with your expectations. Yes, we can have some upside. There has to be relief rally, sure. But calling for we now start the cycle? Not sure. Look what happened previously when Altcoins versus BTC weak to this level. That is a long-term support from 2017. I'm not sure what sort of scale they are using. It could be logarithmic. No clue. Extreme fear on altcoins, time to accumulate. And this I respect. When the altcoin fear index is very much in the red, there is better risk to reward to enter on a long, but to defend it, to average down, and watch out with that leverage, guys. Atom went to 0. That's crazy. Martin is saying, wow, exchange withdrawals of ERC20 stablecoins 30-day moving average just hit 67,384K, the highest level since May 2021. I personally associate withdrawals of stablecoins into Ethereum or Tron, whatever you want, as people taking profits and then holding them because they are done with their longs. And you can see that, for example, in this area of the top, they start taking profits and withdrawing into decentralized wallets because they're basically done taking profits from futures or selling spot. And now it's peaking right there at the same levels that we are peaking at these levels. This also calls for elevated risk. Roman says that alts like Mana end up filling their wicks from last week's liquidation cascade. At Manage, most of the alt space is wiped completely clean. We already know that. But let's see. Let's start looking outside the tunnel. Let's see if there's some light out there. What's the upside? What's realistic? That shit's taste in the mouth is really unbearable, so we need to find some answers in actual data. First of all, this breakout in here still has higher low. So there is some upside to be had from this breakout? Potentially yes. But I'm not gonna show you just it without showing you that this particular candle went down into 145. That level there was our support global. So intra-candle, a monthly chart went for global support. The proportions of that in a single month to go after a breakout into global support is just mental. It came back, it got bought up. We are still below resistance of this line in here. We are still below the ascending resistance that we lost. That's an all-time trend line up that we lost, and we were attempting to that and we got rejected. Now, this week to the downside could be bullish. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. That week, if it closes like this, the monthly, and we are holding 39 on the RSI in here, we're saying nothing else that there is upside. So I cannot fully say, no, there is no upside. People are calling to get into 65, 70 and do a massive, massive rally into new all-time highs. Even if we get into this area of 63, that is just calling to get into a lower low relative to what we did in 2021. So careful with that. Others broke down after doing a humble move up in here. Let's see if next week we can reclaim this level, because this week right there is very bullish how it gets bought up above support. That is a breakdown on the RSI. Price hasn't broken down. It closed the week holding support. We are trading below the support. So watch out for continuation to downside. The only way to invalidate it is with a green candle engulfing this one, ideally against the resistance of 330, saying that this week was the bullish signal that we needed to continue to the upside, and that this was just a fake out to the downside. Bad news on USD dominance against total 3 dominance. We say that after we were trading from 14th of July up until last week, we were in this parallel channel right below a neckline and right above the second neckline, trying to decide if we reclaim and we go towards the beginning of a bear market. Let's call it, this is bear market. This is altcoin season. And we did just this, not deciding, but last week we pierced that, came back and held it. Now we're pointing up. So let's see what happens if we get to 26. I am already itchy at that level. I've been itchy twice, and exiting from there is calling too much this event in here. In April in 2022, altcoins got decimated, going all the way into a USD at 41%. So it's not really looking that positive from that end. Bitcoin dominance has continued pushing higher in the RSI, now at 46, and it has managed to hit that resistance. It went into the next resistance intra-candle, hitting levels of 63.5%. It is a gray area. Why? Because this week to the upside is a strong rejection on the weekly. That is bullish for alts. Okay, let's park that there for a moment. What is not bullish for alts? What is not bullish is if this RSI reclaims 48, because this move down turns into a fake out, and then we can have a way bigger move up. How big? Possibly even into RSI of 70, which is currently a higher high on the dominance. That's a 67.3. I personally lean towards now some upside for the longs on the altcoins, basically the week pushing, but I'm fully invalidated if we close the weekly above 60 on the Bitcoin dominance. Remember, this 48, I'm talking about the weekly RSI. USD dominance continues with the momentum to the upside after the breakout. That is not bullish. Ethereum remains at these levels, and intra-candle went into our target of 12%. So finally, Ethereum hit that level. It hit 3.4K. Unfortunately, I was spending from Friday going into the hospital and all of those things, and I couldn't really focus on buying Ethereum at the prices I was waiting for, which was 35K. Very disappointing, but I hope you guys took note of those levels and managed to take some advantage, because from those levels, Ethereum moved up 24%. That put you in the profit, and you can easily lock down with a trailing stop loss and try to squeeze as much as you can risk-free. Total 3 weak down to the previous range, not just this range, 2 ranges back in time to the highs of 720 billion. It couldn't cross our resistance. It pushed a double top in here. So let's see the healthiness of this. Is holding there, but it has taken a big bullet, I will say. Now, the highest we can close in here, the stronger the argument that this week to the downside is an actual bullish signal. And USDT continues the rally in here. It's unfortunately, guys, it continues since early August to follow our fractal from 2021. Circle, circle, square, and red circle. So far, we are continuing into the fractal that takes us into bear market. So now we currently have an RSI of 55.50 above 53.83. That's a new higher high intra-candle at the moment. Ethereum bounced perfectly from our support of 3453. You can see it there. It closed the weekly RSI at support. That is the good thing for Ethereum. Intra-candle, we are below it. So we have now a second week to potentially still turn this into a fake out, or ideally by Sunday, if we are pointing like this, then we get a pivot and an exit from this triangle, and then we can rally. Total 2 and Total 3 are not really happy. They took a big hit. We are below the breakout area, so hopefully now we resume as soon as possible. Otherwise, those people that are telling you extremely bullish things with very high target levels are just smoking I don't know what. I guess they're smoking your fees. They make money from you losing. You can see here the distribution of the deviations this cycle versus the past cycle. I show every now and then this, and I updated it today so you can see how dramatic this is, how different from the previous cycle. 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, and 40 to 45 deviations were the ones that we had in the previous cycle. Now, the deviation, the distribution was that 61% of the time we did just a shallow push back down to 5% deviation. 26%, it was a deeper one. And that 40 to 45% crash was hit only less than 3% of all the time on weekly candles. If you compare that with here, 0 to 5, we barely spend 1/3 of the time doing those small deviations. We are hitting actually 50 to 55. That's a new kind of deviation that we have new on the altcoins this cycle, and we spend 10% there, not 3, 10. It's just constantly being decimated. Guys, as I said, altcoins are really having a terrible time. I think there is an opportunity for upside short term, but I'm not gonna trade altcoins at this time. I'm just gonna continue holding spot. I've been safe like that. Don't change what is not broken. I'm gonna naively look for a better exit for my leftover coins, which are just a handful of them. And if I cannot exit this cycle, I'm gonna just call it and keep them in the blockchain for way longer to hibernate for another 4 years. Coins that are part of that are my Chainlink, my ADA, and I'm forgetting one, but I already distribute very well spot on Solana, XRP, Ethereum with my last distribution at 4.9. I'm betting that many people now want to sell Solana at 280 and Ethereum at 4.9K. I think with these levels of fears, we deserve some sort of relief rally, something that people are not expecting. So many people have been taken out of the way. And my logic tells me that once we do this cleanup, it's always with a purpose. Last time with FTX, Solana was trading sub $20. There was so much fear. It was early bull market. I'm not expecting that sort of thing, but I am expecting something that is going to be a double pain. First pain when you get liquidated or when you decide to close at a loss. And the second pain is when you start seeing the coins that you just sold at a loss ripping off to the actual original targets that you were pursuing. Crypto has a lot of that, my friend. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope that either you lost or you learned something new. If you are in the group of people that made money like we did, you can join my Patreon community and you can talk with the members there, and they're gonna tell you, yes, we did money during the collapse. Even though Mariano was in the hospital, we were holding a long and a short in profits. Anyways, I'll see you in the next one. No more bragging. Bye bye.